got the whole story out. It took Art Bell 7 hours to get that same story out.
Well, I'm familiar with your story, and I didn't do a great job of
There's a
explaining
lot
it.
of details and a lot of
Yeah,
characters involved, and because it's a real event,
yeah, yeah,
it wasn't scripted. I mean, it
yeah,
actually happened. There was so many people involved, and unless you knew them, you wouldn't know all the details. But in that story, the long version, the details answers a lot of the questions people have. How did a kid get in a situation like that? How did he
yeah,
meet so
yeah,
and so? How did that develop? And it's all in the story.
yeah, yeah. Well, we had talked twice. We did two videos of just your life story from, birth through 20-ish or so. And we ended when you basically went into the military. We talked about, that you were captured a couple times and all of this, but then we just talked about random inventions and things like
Oh
that. It's
my.
very interesting. Yeah.
Uh, People didn't even know I was in the military. I was I spent most of my adult life in the military,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I find that odd. They said you were in the Navy. I thought,
Yeah.
yeah, duh, yeah. How do you think I did all this stuff? And
Yeah.
they just never put it together. I was always catching rides on submarines.
Yeah.
Submarines are the best thing in the world to go behind lines, get behind something, and pop out.
Yeah.
Um, which means that I was on board a lot of subs, and I had an interesting time on one sub. Um, we'll use a fake name. We'll say Tigerfish. I was on board Tigerfish, and I put my hammock up and in the forward torpedo room, and I was a full-blown sailor, but for decades. But I also was chronic seasick.
Yeah.
I got seasick on Lake Erie
Yep.
once, and those are not lakes. You stand at the edge of a lake, you can't even see the other
Yep. They're
side.
pretty big. Yeah.
They're huge, and it's like 1/5 of the fresh water on planet Earth is in those 5 lakes. It's just insane. But uh, point is, I was a chronic seasickness, so the bosun mates looked at me and said, "We can fix something for you," and they did. And they um, knitted a fancy network called Macrame, I think it's called. Um, it's a real elaborate crocheting type stuff with very heavy material. So they made me a hammock, and I could take this hammock anywhere. And when I hung the hammock up on the infrastructure of the submarine or whatever it was, I-beams, when I rolled over into the hammock, the second I hit that hammock, the nausea stopped. What happens is you quit moving. The ship
Oh,
does not stop moving. Once you roll into that hammock, the ship rolls around you.
yeah.
And that's when you see how much rolling it's doing. And I remember when I rolled over into the hammock, I thought, how come I'm not sick? And I looked at the walls and they're going everywhere, back and forth, up and down. I thought, oh God, that's what I was feeling. And
Yeah.
so they made me a hammock. And so the hammock's worth quite a bit to me. And then one time I went on a sub and I hung it up and went to go see the captain to check in. I came back to my hammock and it was gone. So I stole my hammock.
Oh.
So I went and told the captain, I got to have that hammock. I'll get sick if I don't. And the captain went over to his radio guy and he flipped all the on switches. So he can be heard throughout the ship. And he said, all right, y'all, listen up. Here we got a problem. Some lowlife has come into the forward torpedo room and tucked this guy's visiting with us from O&I, his hammock. This hammock is like part of the mission. Without it, this guy's going to be sick. We need the hammock back, though, so we're not going to ask any questions. Just return the damn hammock and put it back in place. And before I could get back to the torpedo room, the hammock was already hanging up
Awesome.
because the captain said, "We're in a metal tube. We're half a mile underwater. I'm going to shut all the engines off and we'll sit here for the next 5 years if we have to. But I'm going to tell you right now, whoever took the hammock, you're going to end up dead. You're going to get flushed out in a torpedo tube
Ooh.
because you're costing the whole ship leave time at Hawaii and some of these other exotic ports. And they're not going to be happy about this. So that hammock got back here so fast it wasn't funny. But that's just typical day on board a sub. And then same submarine. I should have known something was up. I was sitting there reading my book, and this chief walks up to me. He's a senior chief. He goes, "You're the guy that's visiting us from O&I." Yeah, and I can't talk about anything I'm doing. "Oh, we're not going to ask you. What we want, we just want to borrow your body." I went, "Excuse me, what?" He said, "We're working on a prototype suit, and every time we have to work on it, we lose a set of hands because somebody has to sit in the suit and sit still. You're just going to be sitting here." So I said, "Can I read my book?" And they said, "Sure." And I said, "Well, let's go." So I get in the suit. It took 2 hours to get me in the suit. So I'm sitting there reading my book, and they're working away out there and with a full crew, which they're thrilled about. And then all of a sudden, they take off running. Everybody just get up and run. And I went, so I turned on my intercom and asked outside, "Anybody out there?" And there's no answer. I said, "What's going on?" So I saw a E5 second class petty officer coming down the hallway. So I reached out and I grabbed his arm and he was wincing in pain. And I remember him telling me, "I have 400 foot-pounds on each finger of this
Oh.
mechanical suit I'm in." He said, "You could crush a bowling ball." So I lightened up my grip and the guy calmed down. I said, "What's going on out there?" And he says, "Well, you see, we got a problem." I said, "Yeah, what's the problem?" He said, "All five reactors have scrammed, emergency shutdown." I said, "What's wrong?" "They're not shutting down. They're all wide open." "All five reactors?" And he went, "Yeah." "Well, that's not good." I said, "What are we going to do about that?" And he said, "I got to get to my station." So I let him go and he took off running. Then another man came in and sat down in a chair right in front of me and looking right in my view, my windshield, and he said, "Son, I'm the skipper of the sub. We got a serious problem. I got five reactors that are wide open. We can't shut them down. And we're going to do a China syndrome, which is where I said, I know what that is. Basically, all five reactors will melt through the hull of the sub, will implode, and we're all dead. And we have exactly 18 minutes before that happens." 18 minutes? I said, "I know it took us 2 hours just getting you into the suit." He said, "There's nobody else. There's no time left. You're going to have to walk down where the reactors are and go inside and fix them." And I said, "Skipper, I have had no training on reactors. I don't know what to do." "Yeah, you're an underwater welder, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." "Well, you've worked underwater before." So I said, "We've got 17 minutes. So what are you going to do?" I said, "Which way to the reactors?" So I'm going down the hallway with all these tubes and lines dragging behind me. I get in the first fuel chamber and it fills up. And And now I'm getting ready to go into the second chamber, which is the one going into the reactor room. And the chief comes online and says, "Oh, David, I forgot to tell you something. What's that? Whatever you do, don't touch anything that's blue. Why? You'll vaporize." Oh, that's nice to know. And he said, "Yeah, so be careful. Don't touch anything blue." Well, I opened the second door going into the reactor room. All five reactors are running wide open. The whole room is blue, all of it. And I'm sitting there going, "What am I going to do now, Chief?" He said, "Be very careful about walking through that room. Don't bump into anything. Don't pick up anything." So I get over to the wall where the power rods are. And what has happened, one of the power rods, one of the reactors, just one, the little scissor arm that's shaped like that and the power rod's laying on it, it would slide in and out of the hole, but the scissors have broken, slumped down. So instead of being perpendicular to the wall, the uh, power rod is like at a 45-degree angle. It can't get back in the hole. So I grabbed hold of the power rod, which is hundreds of pounds, but this suit is exoskeleton. It makes you so strong. So I just picked up the power rod, took vice grips and vice grips the scissors back in place, took a tack welder gun and tack welded it. And then when I got the vice grips off, I really welded it solid. And I said, "I'm done." And he said, "That's good. You got 3.5 minutes left." "Oh, okay. Well, it's done." And I said, as soon as I got that power rod welded in place, the power rod went right back in the hole. All the other rods went in the holes, and all five reactors shut down, and we were fine. Um, he said, I said, "Can I come out of this thing now?" And they said, "Sure." So I'll go back into the first chamber. It fills up and it flushes out. And I start to leave, and he said, "Wait a minute, you're still at 1,000 Redkins per hour, which is way more than enough to kill you." I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "We're going to have to flush you again." They flushed me 7 times. And finally it cooled down. It got down to about 100 Redkins an hour. He said, "You can come out of there now." And while they were doing all this flushing, I asked him, I said, "Are my balls going to fall off? Am I going to be okay? I don't know. This is all experimental." And they said, "Yeah, the suit looked like it worked." And I said, "You're still here." And they said, "We'll check you out good." And sick bay was waiting for me when I came out of the chambers, and they took me down to sick bay, and they said, "You're going to be fine. You're going to have kids and everything, so you're just fine." I'm going, "Well, that's nice. I hate having to walk around with a non-functioning device there." He said, "No, it's going to do just fine, but we got another problem." "What's that?" "Everything is classified. This did not happen. You were not here. Nothing happened." I went, "Oh, okay. Well, I understand that. Let's see. Um, you would lose $115 billion submarine, 132 trained nuclear sailors, all for a $5.50 bracket. Yeah, that'd be kind of embarrassing, wouldn't it?" And they said, "We don't even want to talk about it." So I said, "Okay." But he said, "Because it's classified, nobody's going to know what you've done, we should, we should give you a medal for this." I said, "That's okay. I'm Mo and I'm used to this stuff." He said, "Well, we're not." And he said, "Let me tell you about the submarine community. It's very tight. They're going to talk. They're going to know your name. They're going to talk about you. And we can't stop it. But officially, they won't say a word. But I understand that you don't drink." "No, I don't drink." He said, "You don't smoke. You don't drink. You have no tattoos. And you're a commander of Navy SEALs." "Yeah, so, well, what are you?" I mean, And the admiral was asking, and the old Master Chief sitting there go, he's a freak of nature. That's what he is. Yeah. So that name stuck like glue. I couldn't get rid of it. I was called Freak all the time.
Free.
I remember an admiral was looking for me in rank and file. And he said, Captain Fleek, are you out there? I raised my hand. He said, you got to tell me how'd you got the name. That's crazy. So I said, you got a few minutes? He said, yeah, I've got all day if I need it. And and that was unusual. And he did tell me this. He said, you might not drink, but I tell you what, you like iced tea? Yeah, I love iced tea. Well, they're going to buy you enough iced tea in these sub bars till you could float a battleship if you wanted to. I said, okay. And, for the next 28 years, I didn't buy a single drink for myself. And I got them free all the time when I went to the sub bars. All I said was, I'm the guy that was on Tiger Fish. And they went, you're a dare? I said, yeah. Okay, fine.
Wow.
Find a seat, park yourself. If you can't find a seat, let us know. We'll find one for you. So I never had to wait for a seat and never had to wait for a drink. As soon as I sit down at the table, there's two iced teas. And I had
Fabulous
more iced
story.
tea than I could ever drink.
Yep. That's
And
so good.
yeah,
So good.
the sub community is very tight, and I like the guys. They're really good at what they do. And but they said, "Boy, what a story!" And they said, "We know the story. We'll never repeat it, but we know it." And he said, "And you turned out okay?" I said, "Yeah." I had a girlfriend, and everything's fine. It all works. And they said, "Well, good," because it was all experimental. They didn't even know if the damn thing would work.
Oh no.
There wasn't any time to wait. So I just waded into the reactors. I didn't even know if I could fix the thing. It was just a simple tack weld on a pair of scissors brackets. I mean, any gorilla could have done that. And so I said, I'm just glad it was something simple that I could do. Didn't need require heavy training or anything. And um, and that's one of my sub stories. There's many, many more of them. And they're all as crazy as this one. Um, I remember one time I was behind enemy lines. I got my information. This is still classified. You would know these people. You would know their names or their office titles. I can't really tell you what I was doing, but I found what I was looking for and took photographs of it, brought it back, and I was on my way back to the sub. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm going down this strip mall and I'm just scooting right along. And me and this other guy, we hit face to face at the corner. He didn't know I was coming. I didn't know he was coming. And he commenced beating me to a pulp. He's taking me apart, literally. In the first 5 seconds, he broke my right shoulder. He broke my right knee. And three of my ribs were cracked. And this guy was just tearing me to pieces. And he got close enough when he raised his right arm to tear my throat out. He was planning to kill me. I looked down at his torso. The entire right side of his body is exposed. So on my left side of my body, I have a big Bowie knife and I gripped the button and dropped it down in my hand. And I stuck him so far and so deep. I picked him up off the ground and lifted him to me. And I said in a whisper to his face, like, left-handed. I'm left-handed. You should have seen his face. He's already dying, but it's like ice water hitting him. He realized it's a fatal error that he made. So I laid him down real quiet on the ground, and he's gone. And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, did I just kill a school teacher or a janitor? I really felt bad about this because it wasn't planned. It was all serendipity.
Right,
And
right.
so I pulled my camera out and it was filled with magnesium bulbs and mercury film, tungsten. So I could take total pictures in pitch black and not see a flash anywhere.
Right.
So I took a picture of him and left and I got back to the submarine. And the Marine that picked me up looked at me and said, "Were you hit by a truck? What the hell happened?" I said, "Might as well been." I said, "This little 90-pound guy was just tearing me to pieces. And I feel so bad about it. I think I killed an innocent person." And one of the Marines said, "A school teacher or a janitor wouldn't have been able to take you apart like he was doing. He was something else."
Right.
And I went, "Oh, well, I wouldn't have. Yeah, I guess you're right." So I get back to O&I at the where I can at least walk again with crutches. And I get into the what we call it, the is Command and Controls CDC. So I'm at CDC, and at the end of the briefing, I bring this guy's picture up. I said, "Does anybody know who this is?" And there was a gasp in the room, and I went, "Oh God, that's not good." So I get up and lock the door. I said, "Nobody's leaving until we figure out what to do. Who is he?" And the guy said, he said his name, and he said, "You just killed the master black belt champion of the world." And I said, "What?" I said, "The whole thing was accidental." And they said, "Doesn't matter. You killed him." I went, "Oh, great. I just killed James Bond. Wonderful. Everybody, every agent on planet Earth is going to come looking for me. We have got to create something." So we created this individual that has a birth certificate, a driver's license, social security number, doesn't exist. And we put it out there. That was the guy that killed this master. He was the guy that trained all their black arts people. And I killed the trainer. I thought, God, it can't get no worse. So we made this person up, and they're still chasing that person today.
Do
And I thought, we're just going to leave it that way.
So you ran face to face into this guy. He wasn't following you. He
Mm-mm.
wasn't tracking you. He was
No,
just going about his business,
I
basically.
guess he just finished teaching a class and was on his way home, which bums me out because that means he never got home to his wife or family or anybody. And I felt bad about that because I don't like taking people out through collateral damage because you failed. James Bond was a miserable failure. He blowed up the building and killed everybody in it. You don't do that stuff. You get in, if you're really good at it, you get in, you get your info, and 3 weeks later, somebody says, I think somebody was in here."
Well, the thing is, you weren't the aggressor in this case, and
Mm-mm.
this guy was like, if he broke your shoulder and
Oh, yeah.
he did all this stuff to you, like that's not typical. It just seems like most guys. Let's say we walked down the street and I ran into somebody. I wouldn't expect them to try to kill me. I'd say, "Oh, sorry," and move
Yeah.
on, right?
No,
So,
it was just
yeah,
this guy in 5 seconds was just busting me apart.
yeah,
But I noticed something. I kept thinking, he's only breaking the right side. He thinks I'm right-handed, so he's shutting down all my weapons,
yeah, yeah,
leaving my left side wide open. And boy, it
yeah.
cost him his life. And
Well, noticing that in such a fast amount of time, a small amount of time, saved your life,
yeah,
right? Saved your
yeah,
life.
I'm sitting there going,
Yeah.
I was like, some of these people you see in these movies, "Thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus, thank you." I was, yeah, I was saying that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jesus, or whoever it was. Turned out it was Pitholm that was doing that.
Yeah,
She reacted so fast. I was on him. I was back at him. I was, uh, actually, it was a hit for hit. Uh, I'm sure he was wondering who I was because he realized, wow, this is not a normal
yeah, yeah,
sailor. And
yeah,
he recognized that I was on the job because I was wearing all black utilities.
yeah,
So I wasn't there sightseeing. I was there for a
yep,
reason.
yep,
And
yep,
that's why there was nothing said. It was just instant retaliation.
right. Yeah.
And
And I've got to assume that Pithlum has helped you get out of these situations time after time after time. Like
she has
you've been in these
54,
situations and you're still here.
yeah, 54
Tremendously.
years she's been there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times she's saved my bacon. And she's all excited. She goes, my parents are here. I'm going to get to go home.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, she goes, why aren't you happier? I said, you've been in my life and been inside me for 54 years. Now you're going to be gone. So what happens to me? Do I end up like Dorian Gray? Just shrivel up and
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
a prune? She goes, no, my mom's got something set for you. Your mom? You're 14.5 billion years old and you got your parents still around?
Yeah.
She goes, yeah, my mom's going to like you. Oh, God. I said, I need to sit down. I need a drink.
And the adventure continues, right? It's like a
Yeah,
sequel, like part two.
it's not through yet.
Of course not.
We're still, but apparently, her, she explained something to me and it made a lot of sense. I said, you've been here 54 years. She goes, so? Well, that's a long time. Why are they just now getting around picking you up? And boy, she handed my butt to me on a platter. She goes, David, not everybody in the universe runs on a Julius Caesar calendar.
Yeah.
I went,
Well,
oh,
also
God.
you gotta think of it this way. She's been here a really long time on Earth. Her
Yeah.
mission is Earth, right?
Yeah.
So
She said,
yeah,
54 years to us is like 54 seconds to you.
yeah,
What happens when you get a pilot down? Well, we go after him immediately. Well, that's what they're doing. This is immediate. 54 years later,
yeah,
that's immediate for
yeah,
us.
yeah,
And I went,
yeah. It's really
I
hard to
suddenly,
comprehend because we don't
yeah,
think
I
that way.
suddenly felt this big.
Yeah.
And I thought, boy, she's very politely just told me I was a damn moron.
Well, like
I
I
was a
said,
caveman.
I think the she chose you because of your intellect when you were a child. And maybe she set that up in some way as well, but she chose you so you could come and get her out of Area 51 and take her on
Yeah,
all
that was
places. Yeah.
there was a elderly gentleman that I made friends with. We were working on the Aurora, and we did such a good job with it. Even today, no one admits that the Aurora is even real. Um, but we also did the SR-71, and we're the ones that, as he said, we have just screwed the pooch. I said, what? It was Walter. I said, what, Walter? Why do you say that? He said, I went out and got the model of the SR-71 off of the pole and brought it into the hangar before the Soviet satellites got there. But the thing was sitting out in the sunlight, so it cast a shadow on the ground. So when the Soviet satellites went over with their thermal imagery, you could see the cool ground, and it was a perfect silhouette of the SR-71. They didn't see it really like we see it, but they knew what it was. It was an aircraft, something really special. So we really let the cat out of the bag on that one. But when we came back and worked on the Aurora, we never made a single mistake. That's why even today, Nobody even knows if the aurora was ever real. And let me tell you, that thing's real. It's got scramjets. It's very fast. And I remember that some of the experts coming up to me from Skunk Works telling me, we're about to hit Mach 10. And then one guy looked at me and said, David, how fast was your rocket moving in 1971? 30 years ago. And I said, um, it wasn't doing Mach 10. What was it doing? Mach 37.
Oh.
And they went, what? And people standing in the crowd going, he ain't joking. He ain't kidding. That thing is so fast. It was covering about 130 miles every 3.2 seconds. And I went, well, that's, you know, typical day for me. Um, but that's I
Yeah.
wish I had time to tell you all the details of the story because when you went through the highlights, that's what they were, highlights.
Yeah.
Um, it's the explanations of how I got there that
Yep.
answers the questions.
Yep.
Like people go, this is such bullshit. How could this guy at 17 years old get such access? Well, my project manager was General Curtis LeMay. And people go, well, there's more BS. That's the chief of the Joint Chiefs, the founder of SAC, Strategic Air Command, a nuclear defense system, and the designer of the B-52 Stratus Fortress that didn't just work for 5 or 6 years. 64 years later, the damn thing's still running. It's over in Iran right now, dropping bombs. And so, yeah, it's like hard to reinvent the wheel, isn't it? Um, so anyway, that's how did I get to meet him? Well, it's kind of a roundabout story, but it's an interesting one. My mother um, was a typical housewife, and my dad was a good mechanic, and he got injured bad. So my mother had to become the breadwinner, and she started off as a candy striper, nurse's aide, and went from there to there till she went all the way to college and got an LPN license, licensed practical nurse. Um, and then something else happened at the same time. My mother loved the third shift, the 11 at night to 8 in the morning, 7 in the morning. She loved that shift because it was quiet, and so they looked at her and they said, we need somebody to run third shift of something we just built. It's called an ICU, intensive care unit. This is 1966. Prior to this, there was no such thing as ICU. It did not exist. So my mother became the first person, the first female to run, to be in charge of an ICU unit in Martin Memorial Hospital in Mount Vernon, Ohio. That's where it started. And so she had a patient in there. He was 93 years old and mean as a snake, and his name was Irving. And old Irving would goose the nurses when they come in, and then he, grab handfuls of stuff, and he's a nasty old man. And so he hit one of the nurses in the side of the head with his cane, and she came back to the nurse's station with a whelp on the side of her head. And my mother looks up at her and goes, who did that? And she said, Irving did. So boom, my mother's down the hallway running, runs into the room, grabs the cane, breaks it across the headboard, takes the sharp part of the wooden cane, sticks it into Irving's neck. She said, I swear to God, if you touch another one of my girls, I'll come back in here and I will kill you. I'll murder you where you lay. and we will say you had a massive heart attack and bury your ass, and that'd be the end of you. Well, after that, he became my mother's best friend. And he his son wanted to see him. So his son had a terrible paparazzi problem. Uh, his son was General Curtis LeMay. This is Irving LeMay, the father of Curtis LeMay. So for him to see his father, he had to go through my mother, who was in charge of the ICU unit. And that's how this all happened. Then he got to know my mother and talked to her and said, "You got any children?" She goes, "Yeah, I have three sons. Two of them are normal. The third one we got to watch out for." I go, "Why is that?" He has a tendency to blow things up. And my husband moved him out of the basement into a derelict Chevrolet dealership we got with the property. And that's where he resides at. So my husband said, if he blows himself up, we'll just walk over there and put a plaque where this is where David Adair was when he reached for the stars.
Right.
So that's how life started out for me. And LeMay said, "What's he doing out in the cow fields?" "Oh, he's launching rockets." That got LeMay's attention. He said, "Rockets, really?" And this guy, if he has a PhD in aerodynamics, so he's not exactly a dummy by any means. He said, "Does he walk around with a big notebook and write things in it?" "Yeah, he does all the time." "Can you bring that notebook in one night and let me take a look at it?" So he looked at it and then he asked my mother, "You got a Xerox?" That's what they called copiers back then.
Right. Right.
She said, "Yeah, we got one." So he went over and copied about a third of my notebook. And then he went back to his alma mater, Ohio State University, and across the street is Battelle Memorial. It's a giant government think tank like RAND is. So he gave it to them and they look at it and they go, he wants to know, is this anything real or just chicken scratch? They look at it and they go, where is this person? They said, hey, he's out in the damn cow fields launching
Sure.
rockets. So is that something to be we ought to be paying attention to? Yeah, he's getting ready to close the fields on a containment system or a new engine that don't exist. And he said, well, we only got two type of rocket engines. We got solid fuel and liquid fuel. Yeah, this thing is neither one. Well, what the hell is it? It's an electromagnetic fusion containment engine. And he's standing there going, okay, in English, what does that mean? It means that he's trying to build an artificial black hole. And if he gets the field to sustain, he'll have the power of an entire sun at his fingertips for an engine power. Well, he was amazed trying to adjust all this. He said, well, what does that mean? I mean, you know the program Star Trek? And he goes, yeah. Well, there's a captain there named Jane, um, let's see, Jane Hath, I'll get her name here in a minute. Um, she got duped by some aliens and got pulled into a damn wormhole. And at warp 9.3, fastest her ship can go, it'd take her 85 years to get back to
Ah,
Federation Galaxy.
yeah.
And they said, you're kidding. He'll pull up and he'll say to Jane, hey, Captain, tie your thing down that's not tied down, and I'll give you a tow. I'll have you home in not 85 years. I'll have you there in about 4 minutes. And they went, holy crap. And then he said, that's how much power he's
Right.
got.
Right.
And He can control the, normally there's just two speeds, this engine, off and wide open. The mate said, oh, I like that already. He said, well, there's times you need to throttle down or throttle up. He can do that by manipulating the plasma beam in the center of the engine and causing the specific impulse to change, which is the heart, the soul of a rocket engine. And he said, you're kidding. He's got all that. Well, how smart is he? He said, well, his best friend calls him up and he helps him with his math. Yeah, so his friend is Stephen Hawkins. Wait a minute, you tell me this guy helped Stephen Hawkins with his math? What is he? Um, he said, I think a Navy Master Chief said he was a freak of nature. That's what we think he is.
Another freak
Yeah, he
label,
said,
right?
yeah. And so
Yeah,
now I'm
yeah,
two freaks.
yeah.
And they went, good God. So that's when they started looking at me in an entirely different light.
Okay.
And it all went real serious. And I got jobs, I got I got all kinds of offers, and and yet everybody thinks I'm so damn smart, and I tell them, I'm a lot like a movie character I saw. Stupid is as stupid does. You know, I may be pretty good with Mobius and math and multiplex conversions, but I said I'm really lucky to find my ass in the morning, and I'm not all that great. Everybody just thinks I am. And Hawkins told me, he said, it's too bad the world don't know about you. He said they had a fit over me, and he said I have nearly a 300 IQ, and that they have a very difficult time handling me. And you're pushing about 150 points more than that. And I said, I know, it's just all of this crazy stuff. He said, yeah, when they find out how smart you really are, it's going to be a problem too for you. I said, well, I hope not. I'm just lucky to plug along as I am. He said, well, nobody builds a rocket that's so damn fast you can't even see it when it leaves. And I know, I said, that's something everybody's going to adjust to. You ever try to see a rifle bullet leave a barrel? That's what it's like trying to see this rocket so fast. It's yeah. And then there's some gifts that came along with it. One of them was inertia dampener. And people don't quite get what an inertia dampener really means. You hear it once in a while in Star Trek,
Yep.
but here's what a real inertia dampener does. Of all things, a Bugs Bunny cartoon does the job really good. Um, Bugs and his friends stole an aircraft and took off with it. And the thing was really fast, and they got to the edge of space and ran out of fuel. So it starts falling back to Earth. It's falling so damn fast, the speedometer wheels come off and all the springs came out, and their friends are yelling, we're all gonna die. And Bug says, take it easy, I've got this covered. And right before their vehicle slams into the earth, Bugs opens the door and grabs everybody and steps outside. They look at the vehicle just crash to nothing, and they're fine. And everybody laughs. That's a cartoon. That's not a cartoon, y'all. That's exactly what an inertia dampener would do.
Oh,
It will remove three forces in physics, in Newtonian physics, and will be gone. Inertia, momentum, and kinetic energy. All three will disappear. So what's that mean? That means a UFO can come in at 5,000 miles an hour and do a 90-degree turn. Well, hell, if there's anything organic in a cockpit, it's soup. And but not with this inertia dampener wouldn't be. They would feel absolutely nothing. They'd just be going through the motions. And I go, wow, do you guys ever feel any gravitational forces? And they, no, not a thing. So UFOs out there flying today, they're using some kind of form of electromagnetic fusion containment, but exactly what they're using for power sources and control, I don't know. Um, it's pretty slick, whatever it is, because it works just fine. And I wish I understood more, but I'm lucky to find myself in the morning, much less, explaining complex stuff. But I can build it. That's the crazy part. And I did the mathematical equations through a Mobius. Look up a Mobius, and I'll tell you what that is.
In
Yeah, the
Mobius?
best way to describe it. Do you remember an old toy called um, made by Kenner, I think, Spirograph?
Yep.
You put those little plates down, you draw the
Yeah.
hundreds of lines up. Well, that's what a Mobius looks like. It My Mobius was shaped like two octopuses having sex. You got two big round bulbs and all the arms wrapped around each other. For the plasma drive. And that thing worked well. Um, the design did. It's in a figure eight pattern. What's the figure eight turned sideways in math?
Infinity.
Infinity.
Yeah.
Well, I gave it an infinity pattern so it could never outrun itself. So it would be safe if we even have a malfunction. It still shut itself off before it gets in trouble. This particular engine that I saw at Area 51, it had been hit by something that came through the fire of the hull of the ship that it was the power plant for. And the entity that ran that engine, the engine was how do you describe this? It's inorganic and organic at the same time. It's both. And it has the ability to control both realms at will. So, what are you saying? That this engine had the ability to reach far beyond the speed of light. And people said there's nothing beyond the speed of light. Oh, yeah? Go check out the tachyon people. They track tachyons that pass things at the speed of light. And I that my engine, for some reason, it operates in the world of tachyon emissions. And it's not like a proton or uranium or neutronium or any of the heavy elements. It's running in a world of tachyon emissions, which exceeds the speed of light, and we've proved that in a cloud chamber, or rather, um, oh, I can't think of the name of it. It's a thing that measures inside the electron forces. Um,
It's all right. Well, it's more, most of us don't understand the math or the engineering required, but we do like the story of what happened. Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah, I do.
We like to hear your story. So the story is you had this rocket and you bring the rocket like across the country, right? You hit it in a truck, like a
Yeah,
grocery store truck.
yeah. We painted either it was Harris Teeter or Piggly Wiggly on the
Yeah,
side of
yeah.
the truck, and people go, "What the
Yeah.
hell is a Piggly Wiggly?" It was the grocery store in the South.
Yep. Crazy
I
name.
always kid everybody. It's a smaller version of the Hoggly Woggly.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
People just look at me and go, "You are a strange individual." Yeah. Said, "Yeah, you ought to be on my side of the fence."
Yeah.
But
Now, I have a question. Do you think Pethlum chose you because of your intellect, like prior to you physically meeting her? Or do you think she helped create your intellect and helped dr
well,
lead you along the path to meeting her at Area
yeah,
51?
when I put my hands on those two pods in that room,
Yeah.
and these pods, you shape your hand like this,
Hmm.
and you fit perfectly onto the pod. And then the pod comes up over your knuckles all the way back to your rear joints, like the Batmobile. You know how the chink, 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 chink.
Yep.
And
Yep.
well, it grabbed all 10 of my fingers and start tightening down. I thought, oh God, it's going to cut all 10 of my fingers off.
Yep.
So I started to yell for help. And just as I was formulating the word help, um, the best way I can describe it is a voice like Lauren Bacall from Key West, and very feminine, very sultry. And all it said was David. And I go, yeah, be quiet. I'm sitting there with my hands in the pots. Okay, what the hell else you going to do? So she said, sit still a minute. I'm going to download it into you. And she said, you might find this a little uncomfortable. And I went, oh God, that sounds like an American medical doctor. When he says it's going to be a little uncomfortable, means it's going to hurt like hell.
Yep. Yep.
So this thing came up both arms, and it was like a electrical shock wave. And when it got to my neck into the carotid artery, I saw these heads up viewers like things of thousands of worlds. And it was going by so fast I couldn't see them all. But I was left with the impression these are the worlds that Pislam had been to. It's her memories. And she downloaded all this stuff. And finally, after a while, I said, I think I'm going to leak. And she said, is your crotch getting wet? No. I think my brain is going to leak. There's just so much coming in, and it hurts. And she said, bear with it. And she goes, okay, I'm done. And I thought, boy, I'm glad that's over with. It felt like, think of the worst piss you ever had to take in your life and you can't do it. And that's what it felt like. It's just like you're so full you can't take another more thing.
Yep. Yep.
And she said, you did a good job. And then she said something real interesting. She said, I asked, how do you know I could take all this? And she goes, who do you think sent all those dreams to you, knowing that
Mm,
you'd build this rocket?
right.
And who do you think caused you to be shipped off to Area 51? And then
Mm.
knowing that you'll be brought right here in front of me and you put your hands in these pods, and now we are leaving. And I said, what? We are leaving. She says, I'm not going to work with these black hearts anymore. And I'm going, well, who's that? It's what you call Air Force people. Nobody cares
Yeah.
about people, care about planet and situations. They all got black hearts. You do not. Out of 8 billion people, you're the purest thing I've ever seen. You showed up on my radar and I took you the minute I saw you. I went, oh, okay. Um, that reminds me, you've been inside me 54 years. What happens when you leave? Do I turn into a Dorian Gray? Just shrivel up? And she starts laughing. No, mom's got something for you.
Ooh.
You got a mother at 14.5 billion years old. What were your parents doing? Helping out with the Big Bang Theory? She said, oh, how perceptive. That's exactly right. Oh, God, I said, I need a drink. I need to sit down. And so anyway, we came out of there and I became a lifeboat. And she bailed out of Area 51, and all that's left was a hull of her engine. And she said they're not going to learn anything from that. It's just a hull. The real life force of it is now inside you,
Right.
and we're riding out of here. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, and I'm about to pass out because this is just a bit much. And she said, you got some problems that I'm going to have to overcome. One is diabetes. That's a real, I never had hardly any struggles with it, but I encountered one last night. It's called a low blood sugar. Boy, it's
Mhm.
terrible.
Yeah.
You, you can't sleep and you can feel things going through your body and you start sweating. I found that funny. And Pittslam said, it's not funny. Next stage is diabetic coma. You'll pass out and you'll be dead.
Mm.
I said, I didn't know a human being could sweat that much. I need windshield wipers for my eyeballs.
Oof.
I said, I find that funny. And she said, boy, what an attitude. You're about to die and you find it funny. No wonder I picked you. You are just kind of human being that I was looking for.
Well, through your life, you've had so many amazing experiences, and it's my theory that she's helped keep you alive on purpose, that you've got a bigger mission than, again, your rocket is still the fastest rocket ever created
Hmm.
here on Earth, okay? But you've got a bigger mission. You'll be inventing many things, like you have invented many things that are helpful to society. Not all of them have been allowed. In the future,
Yeah.
you'll be probably leading teams of people and creating all sorts of great things that we've never thought of yet. So I think she's just keeping you, you know,
I've had
keeping you
psychics
kicking.
come up to me. I
Yeah,
don't even know them.
yeah.
They're looking at me and they're going, wow, do you know who you are? I said, when you ask questions like that, no, I don't know who I am. What do you see? And they all say the same thing. You're an educator. You're a teacher from
Yeah, yeah,
other worlds. You're going to show us how to
yeah.
access a lot of stuff. And oh, that's unfortunate. I can't even find myself in the morning to go to the bathroom. He says, well, you'll do better than that. And
Well,
so I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Well,
I
I would love to talk with you as often as you know, are willing. You've got so many interesting stories. I have a list of other things we've talked
well, I
about,
don't
but
doubt it.
yeah, I feel like we've run out of time today. But
Okay.
if you're willing, we could talk as often as you're available. And
Yeah, because things are going on constantly.
yeah, yeah,
I thought I was going to, I said I'm 72 years old. I thought I was going to retire and drop dead and that'd be it.
no,
Uh-uh. No, they're going to sweep up the carcass and go at it again.
yeah,
And they said, you got a lot of things to do yet.
yep,
I died twice on the LR table 2 years ago and
yep,
met Jesus. He's funny. God, I had a lot of fun with him. I went running down the hallway toward the light, and he's standing over there on the side. And I run past him, and he said, where are you going? I'm gonna go down here and see what's on the other side of this light everybody keeps talking about. You aren't afraid? No, I just want to know what it is so I can tell everybody else. He said, well, you're gonna learn a lot of things as you go, but you gotta go back. I said, I don't want to go back. They're all crazy back there. And he said, that's beside the point. You're gonna have to help them.
yeah. That's funny.
I said, okay, but who are you anyhow? "Oh, I like that white duster you got on down to your ankles. You have a horse? And he goes, yeah, I got a horse. I'm practicing on it. Let me guess, you're practicing sword swinging. He goes, yeah, how do you know? I went, that don't sound like that's good for us.
Mhm.
He said, actually, it's going to bring an end to a lot of crap for you. But he said, um, why do you ask? I said, well, I could help you. If you get me up here, I could help you with your horse. And he went, oh, yeah. Dad said you were a farrier at one time. Yeah, I poured my own shoes. And I made my own shoes and nails. I made them out of titanium. And Steffi Sheriff loved it because he said his horse always throws shoes off
Yeah.
when he has to go on a parade. I said, well, by God, I'll fix it where you won't be throwing his shoes off. So he rode it in the parade and he looked at it and he said, man, they show no wear at all. Well, they're titanium. I don't think they would. Even nail heads are. So I said, you seem to be really talented or gifted at this. I went, yeah, either somebody's got a funny joke. I haven't figured out which one yet. And uh, he just said, well, you still got to go back. And I went, okay. Um, he said that one of the funnest things, and I stopped him. I said, how come you smell like fresh baked cookies? And he goes, oh, so that's what you're smelling. I went, yeah. Yeah, people smell candy apples, apple pie, all this home stuff, I guess. And interesting. You find me at like a home baked cookie. Yeah, you smell good enough to eat. He goes, yeah, well, he said, stick around. You might like some of the things going to follow next.
Awesome.
And he said, my dad said you were fun to talk to. You are. Um, you're not like other human beings at all. He goes, I'm not sure what you're like. And I said, maybe I'm closer to an angel than a human. He said, good guess. He goes, yeah, you remind me of an angel. See, angels, they don't have souls. They don't have, they never got offered that. Not like humans get
Yeah.
free will and choice, and then they waste it all. Um, but that's really sad. It's just to squander a gift so rare as free will. Um, Angels would give anything to have free will. But
Yeah. Yeah.
so
All
and
right.
and then Jesus said, "You understand all that stuff?" I said, "Yeah, I did. Makes perfect sense to me, but it probably shouldn't, but it does." And he said, "Well, Dad said you were different. He said you were different from all the other creations." I said, "Yeah, well, I'm a freak of nature, is what I am."
That's awesome. Well, I'm
So
glad you're still here, and I'm glad he turned you around and brought you back because you're going to be here for a long time, helping so
yeah,
many
that's what they
people.
tell me.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm sitting there going, "How unfortunate."
Yeah. No,
'Cause-
you know what it is though? Right now, they're trying to figure out how they can like dim your light, if you will. You know, they know
yeah,
Pitham's inside you. They want to hinder and control and experiment and do whatever they want to do. That's not going to happen, right?
yeah. There's
So,
there's some real dark forces out there that don't like us,
yes, that's true.
and they're trying to manipulate everything. And
Yep.
then they run into a strange thing like me, and they really don't know what to make of it.
Right.
You know,
Right. Yeah.
and as typical humans drive, when we don't understand something, we fear it, and when we
Right.
fear it, we want to kill it.
Right.
And
Right.
so they've been trying to do that for a good while.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
and I went the COVID-19 route. Didn't kill me. I made it through all that. but it did cost me my right leg and arm somewhat. Um, so I guess you could say that COVID cost you an arm and a leg.
Right,
But
right, right.
it's I don't know. I don't let none of this stuff bother me. I just take it in stride and do what I'm told. And if you think you're in charge of your life, think again, bud. You are anything but in charge. Um, if
Well,
you're lucky enough, you can follow along with it, some of it. But it's God's show. It's been His show ever since, always will be. And
yep, yep,
hell, they've already won Armageddon. Um, they're just going through the motions for the sake of the rest of us. But I asked Jesus, and I said, "Are you worried about getting on that horse and swinging that sword?" He goes, "No, I've already won." And I went, "Well, that's good because the rest of us are kind of fretting about things,
right, right.
and maybe I can help with that a little bit. Don't be such a fret, and don't be afraid of death. It's not that bad. I've done it twice already, and if anything, it's quite a relief to go through it. It's really quite pretty. So don't be afraid. You know, God
Awesome.
Almighty, I'm a Forrest Gump type. Stupid is, stupid does, and I'm not afraid of it. So don't be afraid.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up for today and we'll get back together again when you're feeling good. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. And I'm
I people
I'll,
wondering what my insides are like mush right now.
yeah.
That's part of the diabetes,
Mm,
and if you wonder what's going on, that's what's going on, y'all.
yep. Yep.
Uh,
Okay. I appreciate your time so much. Thank you so much for your time. And we'll talk again. And for those that are watching, please send me questions and we'll ask those next time. I've got a list of other stories we can talk about.
oh yeah,
And I'm sure, I mean, you have endless stories, so there will be no downtime.
and that's still going on. I experienced things
Yep.
this morning, and sitting there going, "Oh, that's different. You don't see that every day."
Mm.
But yeah, I'll be glad to tell y'all what's going on.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, David. I appreciate your time.
All right.
All right.